Hi, welcome back to Managing Life 101. We're Susan and Jim here. We want to talk to you again about managing life. And it's so important because we have realized, we have experienced, and we know to this day that if you don't manage your life, it will manage you. So, this whole time we've been talking about the past few podcasts have been about communication. And that, I think, don't you, is like second to God, key importance of our relationship.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
It makes for a successful relationship, whether it be personal or professional. The ability to communicate with somebody. You know, every time after we wake up in the morning and we have to interact with another human in some way, we're having a little bit of communication.
Absolutely.
You know, so today's topic is identifying vulnerability. Ooh, vulnerability.
Yeah.
We talked about defensiveness last podcast, and these are all set up. And our next podcast, we're going to wrap it all together. But today, identifying vulnerability. And, being vulnerable is something that scares people. And it's like, really, what is the definition of vulnerability? What do you think the definition of vulnerability is?
Opening yourself up to being verbally slapped around a little bit, possibly,
Yeah.
and exposing yourself, giving out more info than that actually kind of like it's bearing your soul
Yeah.
to someone, and that puts you in a position of vulnerability where if they're mean, they can use that against you. Or they can say to themselves, "Oh, I'm going to exploit that weakness that they've just admitted to," and so it's incumbent upon you to pick and choose who you are vulnerable with.
Yes.
Because you don't want it used against you. You want it to deepen intimacy.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that being vulnerable is a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially with someone close to you. You want to be vulnerable.
Very good, honey. That's a great description of it. Because that is all the things that go on in our head is if I'm vulnerable and let you know how I'm really feeling or thinking, you can use that against me.
Yeah.
That's kind of a natural, like, ooh, we want to be careful about that. The fact is, the way you really do build one of our successes in our marriage is that we are willing to be vulnerable with each other. We're willing to talk about everything. And last time we talked about defensiveness. Well, what vulnerability is defensiveless. Defenseless. Is that a right word?
Defenseless. Defenseless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like you're being totally defenseless.
Yeah, the walls are coming
but
down.
Your walls are coming
rather
down.
Rather than partially up.
Right.
They're down.
So vulnerability is basically expressed when you start talking in I language. I feel hurt. I feel embarrassed. I feel afraid to talk about this. I mean, that right there just kind of sets the stage to be like, wow, what's going to be talked about? Rather than pointing a finger, remember I language, about, well, you did this, you did that. Because what you're talking about in vulnerability is telling the truth in a way that is kind without attacking from an I language.
Sure. And it's
Okay.
exposing your own shortcomings,
Yeah,
your own personal flaws
right.
that you're working on to overcome. And quite often that's a daily thing.
Yes. And it's opening up that heart. We talked about how the heart slams shut the minute the defensiveness comes up. The minute the you and the finger is pointed, you just want to slam shut. when you come from a position and identifying the vulnerability, not only yourself doing it, but start recognizing it when other people are being vulnerable. Because what they're doing is they're taking a risk. You're taking a risk and they're taking a risk in being able to tell you something that they may be afraid to tell you. And that is huge. It opens up their heart to say, this is who I am. I hope that I can be accepted and loved for it. And as a receiver of this, it gives you a tremendous amount of information about what's going on with the person that you're having this conversation. And it is telling you an indicator that they want to be real. And you want to be real. So it means be impeccable with your words.
Yeah, words and actions have to match.
Have to match words and actions.
They do. And you can't stress that enough. In daily life with your partner, with a worker, contractor, anyone, you know, your order will be ready by Wednesday. Okay, thanks. I'll be by Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you go by and it's not ready.
Yeah.
Well, when will it be ready? Friday. This time you called, and is it ready? Well, it looks like Monday.
Yeah.
Then at that point, you're just hoping that they complete the job.
Right.
And you will never use them again.
Yeah.
And you won't recommend them either.
Yeah.
And it never had to be that way.
No.
Just right from the get-go, say, you know what? Looks like a week from Monday, it'll be done.
Yeah.
And in the person's mind that is doing the job, they've already given themselves a day or two leeway in case anything out of the ordinary happens.
Right.
And if anything, the job will be done before that date. But that's a person who's learned that their word is impeccable and their words and actions have to match.
Right. And you know, I love that you're using that example because actually it's a work example, and I know it's situations you've been through before. Having your own business, Jim had his own business for 25 years and had a very well-run, very successful pressure washing business that employed people and did big jobs, big commercial jobs. So you were constantly facing that type of interaction on the receiving end and also on being the person that's performing the work.
Oh, yeah.
So you wanted to be impeccable with your word because that is one of the things I love about my husband is right from the get-go when I met him, his integrity, I knew because I had seen that he is impeccable with his word. And that was something so desirable.
Thank you.
Very desirable. But again, it opens the person up to being like, if you say that, like, oh, it's not really going to be done until a week from Monday, well, you know what? The other person might get really angry about that. But that's okay because they have the right. There's just so many nuances to dealing with this. It makes me actually think of an actual conversation you and I just had because we are looking at doing some additional work around our house. So we wanted to revisit what our budget looked like. And I had said, well, what I'll do, because I love to do the detail stuff, is I'll go ahead and do some spreadsheets, because I love to do my spreadsheets, and do some analysis about where have we, for the past 6 months, really spent all of our money. It's important to know where that is.
Yeah, sure.
And then, what do we project doing for the next 6 months, since we're halfway through the year, and then we'll be able to see like, okay, we'll have a calm assurance that all is in divine order, we can afford to do this. So Jim is that, I want it done now kind of guy. Like, oh, okay, that needs to be done, let's do it now. I'm like, get it done, but I don't do it quite as fast. So when we had that conversation about this, I said, this is what I would like to do. And I actually said, give me a week to be able to put that together. So I was being vulnerable because he may want to have said to me, no, I want you to do it in a couple days. And then we would have had, of course, more of a dialogue. But I just like right up front. And so I will be impeccable with my word and say, give me a week. By the end of this week, I'll have that all together and we'll have a little meeting about that. But these are both personal and professional ways that you deal with these elements, these key elements to communication. So today it's about vulnerability. Vulnerability enables you to open yourself up and be willing to take a risk. It means that you speak from eye language when you are communicating what it is you want to communicate. You literally drop your defenses. So rather than being defensive, you are defenseless. So you're dropping those defenses. It's like you're, lowering the gate over the moat and say, okay, enter on in.
And it increases intimacy.
Absolutely, bottom
your
line.
relationship.
It really does.
And you want that.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
It's necessary. It builds that element of trust. Again, I reference in business or in your personal life, and especially in your marriage. You want to be able to know that you can trust what your person tells you is the truth.
What are a couple of those other points you were reading about?
Yeah. Okay. Be impeccable. Have integrity. Oh, this one was really good. Give without strings. That's a biggie.
Yeah, but it also goes hand in hand with self-responsibility.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to do something for someone, they don't owe you anything when you do that. And we've both done that over the years, and we've had it done for us over the years. And the one was an early employee that we took under our wing, and we would drive her to therapy, drive her to college before she got her first car, and just chauffeured her around, and devoted a lot of time to her, and then the relationship. When I sold my business, it completely just evaporated within a year. And now we haven't heard from her, or have any kind of relationship with her for
many years.
Many years.
Yeah.
And I have zero bad feelings, or never once did I feel taken advantage of. Never once, because I did that willingly. She didn't owe me anything.
Yeah.
Still does it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that the relationship ended, but I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like she's moved on, and so have we, and I wish her nothing but the best.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. So yeah, years ago, like doing something and expecting nothing. Me and a buddy of mine were in Vietnam at the same time together. We went to Mimi's restaurant for lunch, and
Oh yeah, this is so good.
and it was Christmas time, and it was jamming. And there was, forget about getting to the table, there was a seat at the bar. And so Dale and I sat down at the bar, and we saw these three ladies come in, and all dressed up and looking dynamite. Obviously working ladies on their lunch hour. They came in, and we saw them, and we just said, ladies, there's 4 seats at the bar, there's 3 of you, you girls sit down. Dale and I will sit over here at what I would call the kiddies table, which was right near the waitress station, but it was like, here's the regular bar, here's the kiddie table, and then here's me and Dale down here. And she said, oh, that's so kind of you. She says, I'm going to buy you lunch. I said, ma'am, thank you, you don't have to do that. And she said, don't block my blessing. And I just laughed and hugged her. And in fact, we hugged all 3 girls. And Dale and I hugged each other, and we were all hugging. And it was a big Merry Christmas moment. But I will never forget, she said, don't block my blessing.
Yeah.
And I never forgot her or that for these many years now, So if somebody does something for you, don't say, oh, no, thank you. Say, thank you. I appreciate that. That is a wonderful blessing. Thank you. And And if you're doing something for them and they say, oh, no, 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 they stop. Don't block my blessing.
Yeah. Isn't that a good one?
Yeah.
It's so good. That really is such a great way to give without strings.
Yeah.
I mean, both examples that you used, and you know, with the example that Jim used with a former employee that was close to us, was a great example. And it's easier said than done. Myself personally, I was hurt. You know, I felt hurt that we didn't have this relationship anymore, and I had to work through that. I had to work through that hurt, because that hurt can cause resentment, it can cause anger, and those are the things that I don't want to have. So I felt sadness. I did feel a little bit, I will admit that inside my brain would say, well, look at everything that Jim did for her. You know, I mean, it's just kind of being reality. That's what in my brain. That has not happened now. Absolutely want nothing but the best for this young woman, who's a great young woman.
She is.
Great young woman. You know, it's just, this is what happens in life, is you will have interactions with people that it really gives you so much insight into who you are. And I really want to be the woman that God created me to be. Mm-hmm. You know, we're both children of God. You out there that are watching, you also are children of God. Mm-hmm. And it's
whether you know it or not.
Yeah, whether you know it or not, and it's to love one another. You know, it's so great. And the thing that you know, Jesus told us in the New Testament there was, you know, number one, the commandment, love your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Mm-hmm. And number two is love your neighbor as you love yourself. Mm-hmm. Whoa. Okay, first of all, I had to learn how to love myself. Mm-hmm. And going through this little mini series that we've done about communication mm-hmm. is really helped me learn how to love myself. It helped me learn that it's okay for me to say what's on my heart. It's okay for me to talk about what I'm feeling and how to express that. Because prior to getting sober, 35 plus years ago, mm-hmm. I was afraid to say how I felt. I was afraid to be vulnerable. Mm. I thought vulnerability and intimacy, if you use that word intimacy, it dealt with sex. No, no. You know, true intimacy is the ability to be vulnerable in conversations, in relationships.
To be totally authentic.
To be totally authentic.
And always maintain your own personal integrity.
Yes.
And that's a huge gift. Once you're there, you don't want to leave there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be anything else or anybody else. And that's a big deal.
So I want to recap. Vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Vulnerability is the opposite of being defensive. It's being defenseless. Mm-hmm. Vulnerability enables you to open your heart. And when you're hearing vulnerability from someone else, just notice, does your heart soften or does your heart close? Mm-hmm. And that is a good indicator of where you personally are at mm-hmm. with being able to be open and honest.
That's true. It's good.
And then it's being impeccable with your word. Have your words and your actions match. Mm-hmm. And then finally, tied up in a nice little bow, is to give without strings. Mm-hmm. That is a good lesson that can be revisited on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Because to give without strings is truly a gift from God.
It's true.
Truly a gift from God. Because if I'm going to give something, if it's a gift, I gift it to you. Mm-hmm. Not like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do with it or this or that. No. Mm-hmm. To learn to give without strings mm-hmm. attached. Mm-hmm. Being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of a quick overview about vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I hope you guys are getting something out of these things. And yeah, me too. I always love revisiting this stuff. We can always talk and revisit. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that you are getting information that you want to hear. We're open to suggestions. We had a suggestion from someone. Pop in to our our inbox, quote, quote, about talking about finances. So you know what? We're going to do that. We're also going to be doing a podcast pretty soon about finances. So we hope that you do get something that...
Please like and share.
Oh yeah, please like and share.
We heard that. I heard that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
When people do that, so like and share.
Yeah, because then we can
Thanks.
get it out to more people, which will be great. So anyhow, Managing Life 101, where if you don't manage your life, it is going to manage you. God bless you, and bye-bye.